we're going to have to address the tumbleweed bringing wannabe funny elephant in the room. Ooh, it's a tough one. Ban male comedy writers? Of course not. But do more to give women a chance. Now, obviously, look, this is a Guardian opinion piece by some writer. Now, so we know where, look, you can predict exactly the points that are going to be made. You know who they're going to attack, who they're going to support, and you know what the final roundup's going to be. It's not just women. You know, it's going to be the usual, just the usual talking points. It's going to be all the same. It's going to be so boringly predictable that there's kind of no point even going into it. But it does give me an opportunity to share some thoughts, and my thoughts are so important that you need to hear them. All right, so you know, give me an opinion column. You know what I mean? How much are these losers getting paid for this nonsense? You know, too much probably. Too much, or maybe too little. Or maybe it's just right. I don't know. I not know. You know, I admire ITV's attempt to attract new voices, but the reaction online shows that many men are terrified of female inclusion. I call BS on that. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because it'll be the usual thing. Last Monday, I spoke for 5 minutes on a panel in Bradford alongside the head of ITV Comedy. Now, let's face it, ITV Comedy has not been, you know, the great bastion of comedy. But then there is no great bastion of comedy on British television anymore anyway. Channel 4 have lost the plot. BBC have certainly absolutely lost the plot when it comes to comedy. So before ITV might be the last thing standing. You know, ITV still makes shows like Love Island, which means they don't give a shit about any nonsense because they make stuff that people want. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't care about. They stick their finger into the wind and they go, well, that's what people want. That's what ITV's popular television. Do you know what I mean? They don't care. And you got to admire that about ITV. You know, they'll give you Jeremy Kyle, they'll give you This Morning, you know, they'll give Piers Morgan a job because now he's become like the anti-woke mainstream spokesman for some reason, like totally rebranded himself as Mr. Anti-woke. But so you're like, come on ITV, you don't need to do this because you just don't. People like ITV for just being just what it is. It's, you know, it's like a battered Mars bar. It's like well, that's what people want apparently. You know, it's gross. The concept of it's gross, but people will eat it, so we're gonna make them. You know, and that's what ITV has always done. And you know, you can hate them for it, or you can love them for it, or whatever. Or you can just be like, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm not getting bent out of shape about it. So for them to be doing this kind of thing, it's like, oh god. No, ITV, just don't. You don't need to. So it's about diversity in television, which is just there is no diversity in television, right? There isn't. There's none. I'll get into that. But as a working comedy writer, I was well positioned to make the point that comedy is better when it's written by a wide range of voices, people of different genders, races, sexualities, everything. No, because not of political persuasion. You don't get that in comedy. On television anymore. It's all the same mindset. You can just go through anything and it's all coming from the same position. So there's no real diversity. It's all made by the same people, and it kind of always has been, as in, you know, comedy was dominated by people who, you know, went to Cambridge, as in, you know, just name someone and they probably went to Cambridge. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how British comedy's been for a very long time, and a lot of people have sort of openly criticised it. And think about the ones who don't go to Cambridge. Think about like the working class comedians you've had over the years in Britain. Say your Jim Davidsons, you know, Bobby Davro, you know, people like that. Brian Connolly. Do you know what I mean? Look at where they go. What they get given. Some of them went on BBC. Jim Davison, you know, did what was that show called that Bruce Forsyth did? Generation Game and Big Break. But mainly it was ITV. It's where they went. mean, it was ITV, because they're very popular people, you know, from Cannonball to Helen Pace and so on and so forth. Mad controversial, right? Burn the witch. I assume my comments would, like most comments ever made on a panel discussions, be lost in the annals of time. Even if I wasn't, like most people on panels, speaking out of my annals. The thing is, though, if you want to force diversity onto something like comedy, it's a very bad idea. Because I'll tell you what, before this, everyone went heavy on diversity, you used to get some real gems when it wasn't that important. And so, you know, what I'm saying is that you look at the landscape of Britain, you're talking 86% white. I know, crazy, isn't it? It is. It's a very white country, Britain. Despite what anyone thinks, despite what a racist thinks or a very woke person thinks, that is the you know, whichever side you want to fall on, that is how it is, my friends. Okay, so, and you know, very small Asian population, very small black population, but we got, you know, if you talk about black comedy, forget now. People always go to Lenny Henry. It's like, forget Lenny Henry. We had the Real McCoy, which had Felix Dexter on it. He was a fucking G. Rest in peace. An absolute god, like a god. He was great. And Real McCoy was pretty good. As far as sketch goes, you know, there was more hits than misses. There's Real McCoy, and there was another one on Channel 4, and I keep forgetting what it was called. I used to watch it as well. I just can't for the life of me remember what it was called. And then you had Goodness Gracious Me, which produced Big Talent, and that was that was pretty more hit than miss as well. You know, talking about sort of comedy sketch shows, sitcoms maybe not as well. I mean, you had Desmond's, and that was a long time ago. I wouldn't say Desmond's was great for nostalgia reasons, but I wouldn't say it was like the funniest thing you'd ever seen. No disrespect to Desmond's, but it was good, you know. But what I'm saying is you had these very good comedy shows and comedians that came out regardless from a very small minority, and you didn't need forced diversity. It just happened. All right, maybe there was a novelty element to it going, oh, well, what's your USP? Well, we're Indian. Oh, well, we haven't got that. But it was good. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't really matter. Stuff just shone through. If it was good, it got made. You know what I mean? And it was more brave. There was bravery to it as well, because people had this instant thinking like, oh, white people won't relate, and that's kind of a hell of a lot of the population. But white people liked it too. Newsflash: if it was good, it was good. That's it. You know, we've had you don't get to be Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy or Dave Chappelle without mass appeal. You don't get to be who they are now without that mass appeal of all persuasions, of all races. It just doesn't happen. You need that mass appeal. So therefore, this whole, I don't know where it came from, but this concept of like, oh, we need to force this on people. People like it any. People like any. Hip hop is the biggest music genre on planet Earth. It's black music. It's still, to this day, dominated by black people, despite, you know, you got more whiteys in it than you ever had before, but you got more people in it than you ever had before. So it's ludicrous. You know, and the only thing, like, if you look at anything that's come out recently that in the age of forced diversity, I say there's Famalam, which is quite surprising. And Famalam's actually it's a sketch show, so it is very hit or miss. Like, it's very hit or miss. Some sketch shows were perfection, but mostly hit or miss. But Famalam's is pretty funny. I've seen some stuff on there that generally like that's some funny fucking shit and good, because it's like, well, at least the BBC have got something funny. I can't remember the last time they produced a sketch show that was funny. That had a sketch I watched and was like, oh, that's funny. What? And you're surprised going, oh my god, that was actually funny. Wow, thank you. Do you know what I'm saying? But anyway, quite the shock then when I woke up this morning to find that my name, photo and quotes and tweets have been used without my knowledge on multiple news platforms. Oh, without my knowledge. Most under versions of the inaccurate headline, ITV bans all male comedy teams. I opened a story after story to see an old photo of myself looking like a demented elf who just tried ketamine for the first time. Oh, edgy, you know about ketamine. Staring up at the world. Ketamine's been around for a long time. At the world as the new poster child for keeping men out of comedy. Go away, men. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. The headlines might as well have read, all men are banned from comedy forever and will be replaced with inferior women who didn't know a joke if it hit them in the tits. Predictably, men were outraged and, with an easily searchable surname like Titley, I was a target. My fault, really. I had committed to the trifecta of crimes, being a woman on the internet, and the woman on the internet with a job. Oh, will you shut up? For goodness sake. Committed the trifecta of crimes. I'm a woman on the internet, and a woman on the internet with a job. Oh, be quiet, would you? For goodness sake. Fucking honestly, will you stop your nonsense? What a silly thing to say. So the trolls mobilized. No, they're not trolls, right? Trolling is an art form. People just talking shit are just cunts. You know, it's the same in the real world. Did I know I was ruining comedy? Well, I don't know. I've never seen any of your stuff, or maybe I have. I have no idea. That I was only hired to tick a box. Possibly, that's happening, and it's bad. It's very bad. That because of me, Only Fools and Horses never got written in the past. That was part of the Gal Qaeda. What the hell is that? Gal Qaeda is a hilarious hashtag. Maybe we should let men do comedy. I can't speak for ITV, but as far as I understand it, nothing has been banned. ITV's comedy commissioner, the excellent Saskia Schuster, a woman, has launched an initiative, Comedy 50/50, to move away from all male writers' rooms and has changed ITV contracts so shows must aim towards equal gender representation. Problematic. If you don't know what a writer's room is, congratulations, you've made better life choices than me. It's a group of writers usually put together by producers in order to write jokes for a sketch. Yes, we know what a writer's room is. Shush. Historically, they have been male-dominated, and I admire Saskia's attempt to draw in more much-needed female voices. Okay, look, we're going to have to... Okay, let's address that elephant in the room now. Ladies, ladies in comedy is more of a rarity because it's not your thing. Like, girls can be unintentionally really funny, whereas men are unintentionally funny. And I think Christopher Hitchens wrote a whole piece on it that outraged people. But his point was, you know, he didn't say that women aren't, well, he said women aren't funny, but I said because they don't need to be funny, that men need to be funny. As in, sense of, and it is like a sense of humor. I mean, that's got me by. I mean, that's got me enough females. Because I'm quite moody. I'm quite moody. I'm not going to go into my whole personality traits or what I am. But, you know, without my humour, I wouldn't be able to get away with half as much as I do. Because people think I'm funny. You know, not the real evil, horrible person that I actually am. You know, my moral compass is completely off. I joke, or do I? Point is that men are generally more funny. There's nothing worse than a girl who thinks she's funny because they're not funny, right? But obviously you meet funny girls, but like they sort of try to make out that women don't get as many female comedians because it's a male-dominated thing, and they don't want women in there, which is not true because we've had very talented women in comedy throughout generations. You know, I used to watch French and Saunders, absolutely fabulous, because it was good, because they're funny, but they're rarities. Do you know what I mean? They are rarities. You know, do you know what I'm saying? It's like black people in basketball, isn't it? Long distance running. Like if you ever, it's a similar thing. I remember I went to the London Marathon, and when my sister was running it, and then I remember we got to the, you know, before anyone had come past, and all you saw was like about 10 East Africans, because it's East Africans that are mad killing it, and it just going, and then for about 10 minutes, and then everyone else came, every other race suddenly appeared. Do you know? It's their thing. Do you know what I mean? No one's going to force diversity on fucking marathon runners. We go, no, we need more Chinese people winning marathons or something. So you Kenyans, you need to slow down. We're going to put shackles on you to slow you down. Like what? Are you insane? Like I said, look, Look at the England football team. It is overrepresented by black players. The black population of Britain is something like 2% or something like that, and yet in the World Cup team, like including mixed race as well, you're talking like 50-50, as in black boys are killing it at football. Okay, and what are we supposed to do? Saying, well, no, that's too many black boys. We need just as many Asian boys and blur and gays. We need loads. We need 50%. A third of you players must be gay. Do you know what I mean? No, they're killing it because they are good at it. That is how it. It's a beautiful system in sports. It seems to work. And the same thing comes down to goddamn comedy. Do you know what I'm saying? Comedy, right? Men just kill it more at comedy because that's kind of what we have to do. We ain't out there hunting no more. We ain't out there hunting and impress a bitch going, yo, I just killed this mountain lion. We're gonna eat for days, baby. It's like, oh, you're so good. Ain't none of that going on more. We got to make them laugh. It's kind of a male thing. Is being a comedian like male? It's more dominated by men comedy because that's just the way it is. But it's not to say that there aren't. But the thing is, you wouldn't say men are funnier women. There's just more funny men. As simple as it just is. It just is. I went to the Edinburgh Fringe and there was sort of loads of female comedians. It was dominated by female comedians. That what we saw, and they were all terrible. The men we saw weren't great, but it was awful. They were awful. It's just one of them things. You can't force it on. It should be. You should have scripts submitted. This is the thing. They'll look at scripts now, and instead of looking at whether it's funny, they'll look at the name and the gender. We're like, is this a woman? Say, well, no, we've got 3 white girls. We need 2 Pakistani girls, and they'll be looking through all the scripts, trying to find a Pakistani girl that wrote a funny script, and they'll find 2 scripts, and one of them is probably absolute bullshit, and one of them's good, but the one that wrote the good script, she was like, no, I'm not interested in that. I'm doing something better with my life. So they go with a shit one and go, well, she'll have to do. And they throw in her, and then she's there putting across her ideas, going, oh, this. And they're like, oh my God, that is terrible. We're going to have to include it. It's such a stupid thing. It's so stupid. Do you know what I mean? You want the best. What is wrong with just being great and just, So I think what they should do is do what they do on The Voice. You shouldn't even put your name on the script, right, or your gender or nothing. That should be banned. If you want proper equality, if you want everyone to have a fighting chance, scrap when you give the script to the readers, there is no fucking name on it. You don't know anything about this person. You don't know anything about their background, nothing about their race, nothing about their ethnicity, nothing about their sexual persuasion, whether they're a man, a girl, or whatever comes in between. You don't know nothing about them. You just read the script. Because, that's it. But that's what you should be doing. But instead you're doing this kind of nonsense. And it's like, no, it's silly. Because you're just going to get mediocre product at the end of the day. We have enough mediocrity in entertainment and media as it is in the mainstream. We do not need to encourage more of it. So it's just stupid, you know what I mean? You want it to be fair, and don't go out looking for it. Find it when it comes to you. Just say, submit the scripts. Blind. Everyone's anonymous. Everyone's anonymous. And what is good is good. And obviously, there are flaws in that. Obviously, because if they're looking for diversity and it's got a bunch of, say it's written by Somalian and it's clearly about a Somalian family, then obviously you're going to know it's written by a Somalian. But it might not be. You could hoodwink them. Yeah. But the reaction online revealed an uncomfortable truth. Some people are terrified of inclusion. On one hand, I get it. If TV comedy was an antelope you were eating and some female writers came along and started eating the antelope too, there'd be less antelope for you. Oh, be quiet. I'd understand that you might be chagrined, and I know this sounds crazy, TV writing is not an antelope. More varied voices create better comedy, and better comedy creates an appetite for more comedy. It serves everyone in television when shows go well. Great shows beget great shows, blah, 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 blah. So you know the talking points here, because at the end, look, the big misguided belief is that men already in the writings room deserve to be there and new women don't. That's a myth. Everyone who has ever worked in TV got there because someone opened a door for them. If they can't do the job, they won't last long. This is just about giving more people a chance in a system that has not, until now, been designed to do so. See, I don't know about all that. I do know there's a lot of going on, but look, I don't know about the chances that people have to get into the television. I do know that a hell of a lot of people get in and keep the jobs there because they know people. Because, I mean, look, as a good example, you need, even though you have all these diversity quotas at the BBC, there's the show Motherland, which is written by Graham Linehan and someone else, and they are established within the industry, and that is like that is typical BBC. You know, it's what everyone hated about the BBC. Well, what they were criticising it for, because it's set in the London suburbs. It's upper middle class white people in it, because it's written by people who live that life, but they still got a foot in the door. They're still in the machine because they know people. So, you know, it's like, do you see what I'm saying? So it's about, so if there's more opportunities to let people in, but you talk about diversity, but it's not just it's not just a white person or a male thing or anything like that. There's just a whole class. There's just a very tight-knit class of people that went to certain universities and knew someone here and someone. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what needs to be broken. But they refuse to address that because that's everyone that is in power. Those are the people that run shit. Is that upper middle class, left-leaning people. So there's no diversity of thought at all. It's nonsense. And they think diversity is something else, but it's not. It's like no one has a shot unless they fit those brackets. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a shot. Like the color of my skin, my gender, my sexuality, it doesn't give me a fucking shot. Not at all. Because of the people that fucking run shit. It's an elitist thing, and it always has been. So you know, they kind of, and this is their way of this. It's you know, it's very transparent. But anyway, for the sake of the future of comedy, hire more varied writers, and I don't just mean female writers. Hire more. Here we go. Here, insert usual talking points. Hire more writers of colour, more queer, disabled, trans, working class writer. Well, thank you for saying working class writers. Hire more writers of colour and maybe some vegan writers. Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah. I think you just added working class just to tick that box. You're not going to win with me. To all people, remember, if they're not good enough, they'll quickly fall away. But if they are good enough, it will make the work better and stronger for all of us. I don't believe that, because have you seen half the toss that's going on now? Bullshit. If you got a foot in the door and you got your hat, if you know someone or you got something on someone or something like that, bullshit. You can get away with literal murder. So don't make me laugh, because you don't make me laugh.